Good morning, folks. I'm just going to read off again my author's cut and edit of Tug's Trek, a memoir of moral injury. We go into chapter 3 of the first part, Clean Slate and Falling Plate. And this is a part where I'm going to a junior school called Highlands. Highlands was never just a place. That school for boarders had a good feel about it. A safety net, a place to make friends. This was my school in which my memories were stitched together in the early morning light. It was where my boyhood met its first test of grit. Long before the uniform, before the wars, before the mind learned how to fracture. Highland School stood proud on the edge of Salisbury, its buildings cold in winter, cracked by sun in summer. There was a rhythm. There was a rhythm to the days. The crack of shoes on the gravel, the bell calling us to class, the quiet rustle of khaki shorts, and the smell of polish and dust. Everything was neat, pressed, proper, outwardly ordered. Inside, though, a storm brewed in many of us. We were sons of farmers, engineers, miners, and soldiers, a generation taught to stand tall and never cry, no matter what the world took from you. I remember having to try. I'm sure our blazers were emboldened with something about having to try, persevere. At the time, I thought it meant winning, beating the other side, being on top of the class, top of the team. Later, I would learn it meant something altogether different. Endurance, integrity, understanding your own limits, and then breaking them quietly. We were boys in a colonial echo chamber, learning about empire and glory without ever being told about the cost. We learned to shoot before we learned to dance, to fight before we learned to feel. Rugby, cricket, morning inspection. Discipline was our language, pride our posture. And yet, somewhere under all that starch and shouting, something human remained. Friendship, loyalty, the boyish mischief that no rulebook could crush. It was there I met lads who would later wear the same beret as me. We didn't know it then, but the same fields where we kicked rugby balls would one day become the same kind of ground where we'd learn about life and death. Highlands toughened us, yes, but it also softened something within, the kind of camaraderie forged in shared hardship, the kind you never quite forget. Sometimes when I hear the low hum of a distant crowd or the smell of the sharp tang of linseed oil from a cricket bat, I'm back there again, back among the gum trees and the gravel paths, with my boots polished and my dreams untarnished. A boy with no idea of how the world was about to turn. So let me reflect. Highlands taught me the power of routine and the price of pride. It gave me a backbone, but it also buried emotion deep beneath the surface. Only years later did I learn that strength without softness is brittle, and that real courage begins when a man allows himself to feel. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned. Next chapter, chapter 5, living next door to Alice. That's interesting. Cheers for now.